Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McElmore.
All right. Hello. Welcome to another night of sharing. Oh, got an exciting guest with us this evening. We have Keisha Dixon, the tapping queen. Welcome, Keisha. How are you?
Oh, thank you so much, Kimberly. Thank you. I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm excited and I'm good. And, we talked for a few minutes, so I cannot wait for everybody to hear what you have to say and about your story and about all your businesses and things you got going on. So before we dive into the business piece, I would like for you to tell the listeners a little bit about yourself.
Oh, sure. I'm Keisha Dixon. I go by the Tapping Queen. I'm a transformational wealth coach and an EFT, otherwise known as tapping practitioner. I am the mom of 6 and grandmother of 3. And
wow.
Yeah.
So wait a minute, I was like, did you just say mom of 6?
Mom of 6, and I have 2 generations of children. My oldest son is 26, and then I have a 9-year-old daughter, and all ages in between.
Oh my goodness. You don't look like you're old enough to have 6 kids, okay? You're
Thank God for that.
Wow, that is amazing. So yeah, we definitely have a lot to talk about this evening, and I do know, like we did talk, like I said, we talked a little bit for a few minutes before we actually started this interview, and I know that you're in the process of moving, so it's really great to hear this, but you have all these beautiful kids that are going to be coming along with you for the ride, so I think that's even more amazing. So let's talk a little bit about what an EFT practitioner is, and I mean, you call yourself the tapping queen, so explain to me, what is the tapping queen? I'm trying to get the gist of that.
Sure. Emotional freedom technique is also known as tapping, and it is this amazing and the only clinically proven mind-body connection tool that anybody can use to deregulate or actually bring down the fight, flight, or stress response. And it is also an amazing modality that helps us to remove those limiting beliefs that feel really, really true, that keep us stuck where we're at, whether it's in our money or our confidence or our weight even.
Wow, that is interesting. I never knew that there was something clinically available to actually help you tap into those stress reliever, those moments where you, like you said, have kind of a negative moment, and then you teach yourself how to get out of this. So we're definitely going to dive into more of this, but let's backtrack just a little bit. Tell me how you got into your business from kind of the beginning to the middle to where you're at today.
Oh, sure. It's quite a story. I was working in corporate America as an executive for, well, at that time it was probably 31 years and making mid-6 figures, great salary on paper. And yet I constantly found myself at least $2,000 in the red every single month. And I was swimming in debt. I was completely overwhelmed. I felt lots and lots of shame, and I didn't want anyone to know. And yet I was giving all of my money away, like over-giving, giving it to other people, helping them pay their rent, and creating all this drama around even paying my own mortgage. So I knew something was really, really wrong, that my life shouldn't be spinning out of control like that. So I sought the assistance of a wealth therapist, and it was through her that she introduced me to emotional freedom technique. I hadn't heard of it. I was like, what the woo-woo is this?
Right. That's kind of what my same thought was. I was like, what is a tapping queen? So I'm glad I'm not the only one who felt that way. Okay. All right.
And yet I said, you know what, let me just try this. And once I tried it, I couldn't believe the results I received, not only in changing the way I managed money, but also in how I started showing up into the world. I was more clear, more focused, more driven. And also I started noticing the things in my life that were extremely incongruent with who I am. including the corporate job, which was a great job and a tremendous blessing in my life. But it no longer fit who I was and what I wanted to do. So I ended up walking away from that and developing this coaching business from scratch as a transformational wealth person. And I help women to really tap into the most powerful version of themselves and start doubling and in some cases 10xing their current income. Yeah. So it's just been an amazing experience for me in really understanding how much stress and low levels of stress affects us on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And it seems to be, well, as we all know, stress is like the number one killer, of people daily, because every time, we get up and breathe, we start out with stress. When you think about it, it's like you get up and obviously, I'm very thankful to wake up and Lord give me another day. And I'm sure a lot of us go through this process every morning, but then as soon as you walk out your door, or even like I said, as soon as you get out of your bed, it's this first thought of, okay, well, I got to do this, I got to do that, what's on the agenda for today, or how, and especially as, not just, people who work, but people who also are working and they're trying to start a business, or they're already in a business, and all these pieces start to come together. And of course, we all know that you can't just drop your life because you want to do this, you want to do the business, or you want to write a book, or you have responsibilities. So every day there's that constant stress. So to hear this terminology and understanding of what it means to de-stress. And it's funny that now that I think about why you asked me the question earlier, what do you do to celebrate? I'm thinking every day, I'm like, I don't have time to celebrate every day, but this is what I do plan on doing, and it's, so I would definitely want to hear some of your strategy about how you work with a person. So for instance, if you're working with somebody like me and you just asked me that basic question earlier, what would be some of your thought process of helping somebody in my position who, I still work full-time job. I still run, full-time business. I have 2 shows. I'm doing all these things. And of course I still have my responsibility, even though I'm a single parent and my son is grown, I still have responsibility in my household to take care of things that need to be taken care of. What advice would you give?
Well, first of all, I'm tapping for you right now because hearing everything that you do really raised up my heart rate. Like, wow, that's you're doing so much, and I commend you for that. I often ask my clients who are very much have a very similar story to you, how are you celebrating every single minute, every single win that you have? Because so often, like even if we're emptying the dishwasher, what do we do next? What do we think about next? What's next to do?
Right. We got to put it away. Right.
What's next to do? And we don't take time to celebrate even those small wins. So one of the things I always have my clients start to do is celebrate wildly as if they've cured cancer, even if it's just in the privacy of their own home, dancing up and down, saying, I'm a rock star, I did it. Every single thing that they've checked off on their task list. And by doing that, we're retraining our brains to look for more things to celebrate. And then it becomes easier and easier for us to have these huge successes and make these quantum leaps like your business that you're running now starts to make more money than your corporate paycheck.
Right.
Leaps like that. So, yeah, and by celebrating, it seems like such a simple exercise, maybe even lighthearted. And yet, when I ask my clients to do it, I get calls like 2 or 3 days later saying, I don't know what's happening to me, but I can't find myself celebrating what's going on. Right. And then we talk it through and we start uncovering some of those beliefs that keep us stuck. Like it's not okay to pat ourselves on the back, and it's not okay to celebrate or call attention to ourselves.
Yeah, I agree with that, because we live in a world where it's supposed to be okay to be who you want to be and do what you want to be, but at the same time you're being criticized for wanting more. And so as we're being criticized, like I said, you want to celebrate, but then you always got that one person or somebody telling you, well, you're still not doing this or you're still not doing that. And unfortunately, it seems more that the negative takes over that control of who we are versus the positive.
Yeah, that's because our subconscious is running virtually unchecked 24/7. And all of these beliefs that feel really true that we've grown up knowing and learning, like people like us stories, they're going unchecked within our system 24/7. And it's by tapping that we get to interrupt those beliefs, remove the charge behind them, and start developing our own beliefs. Like, what is the belief that you want to create for yourself?
Actually, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. The belief that I had, I spent almost a year wanting to leave corporate and really just develop my own business. But I was looking for all of this evidence that, okay, will I be able to sustain myself? Will I be able to sustain my family? Will I be able to pay my mortgage? And one day I woke up and I was like, my new belief was, I deserve to be happy. And that changed everything.
Wow.
It changed everything. That was all the evidence that I needed. I mean, I've always known in my head I deserve to be happy, but I knew on a cellular level that I knew that I deserved to be happy, and that changed the whole game.
Yeah, and it just sounds so familiar. I think it's a familiar story for most people, when, like I said, whether it's getting a new job or whether it's starting a business, you want that feeling of freedom, that emotional part of you that tells you, hey, I've done it. And then I think a part of it, once you have done it, the big part of it, like I said, is maintaining it and sustaining that feeling that we always end up losing after, well, I've been here for 6 months or whatever, and okay, it's no more fun. It's just another job per se. So, to hear these techniques, I think is phenomenal, because I know that I tell myself every day, well, you're doing a great job. You just got to keep pushing. You're living your dreams, and you're gonna get to where you want to be. But at the same time, I feel some days like I'm pulling myself down, because I'm like, okay, you got too much weight on your shoulders. How are you going to continue to move forward like this and still be have the winning side? But then you're always being reminded, I guess, of, well, you should be thankful. You've done this and you've done that. Okay, it's not that you're not thankful, but pulling yourself up constantly all day long, and like you said, patting yourself on the back. I think a lot of times as individuals and human beings, we're preparing and waiting for others to constantly tell us how good we are, versus me telling myself every day, I've got this, I know I'm doing well, and I can continue to pat myself on the back without having that constant, well, it's okay, from everybody else, you're doing a great job. So
and we want both, right?
Right.
We want the external validation, and we also want that internal validation. And as my clients work with me, they end up getting both. The naysayers, because they start shifting internally, the naysayers, all of a sudden, they may still be there, but they're cheering them on.
Right. And as they say, if people are constantly talking about you, there must be something worth talking about, right?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So tell me a little bit more about, we kind of dived right into the business part of it, but I'm sure there's been a process of things that you had to go through before, even though you decided that, hey, I want to be happy, I want to do this, because you have a business that is very unique than the average business. What challenges have you faced, especially, when I guess it's the same thought process that when you said tapping queen, I'm like, what is the tapping queen? So I'm sure you've gone through that process, but what other challenges have you had to face, and how many years have you actually been in the business?
I've been coaching on the side for 3 years now. I left my corporate job in April of this year. And and the challenge was, when I was doing it on the side, was, finding the time and not getting burdened down with being exhausted all the time. And the challenge was really taking that first leap. Like, can I do this? Yes, I woke up and I knew I deserved to be happy, but happiness wasn't going to pay the bills. Right?
Exactly.
So making sure, So my thought process, and maybe the first week after I left corporate America, I was like, okay, what did I do? What did I do? I know I deserve to be happy, but will the clients be coming in? And all of a sudden, I started getting these opportunities and clients literally coming out of the woodwork. It was as if once I decided, yes, I deserve to be happy and this is what I was going to do, I no longer really had to market myself. I just started talking about what lit me up. Speaking engagements came along. Clients were dropping into my Facebook and LinkedIn accounts right in my mailbox. And in less than 4 months, this baby of mine, this passion and purpose, learned how to feed itself.
Wow.
Yeah, just by creating this space.
And that's amazing. That, like you said, just taking that leap of faith and believing, but, and then, you take a step back, but then you look and realize that everybody needs what you have to offer, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I mean, there is not one person living and walking this earth that does not get stressed out every day. And,
right.
I honestly believe that. And to have someone in your position to be able to say, here, look at this, and do this and do that, to help us relieve those moments and to have those happier moments in our life, I think is, like I said, phenomenal. I just never would have thought of it in that perspective and not even realizing that these type of programs even exist. And I think that's the beauty of what you have. And even though you're at a distance from everybody, you still can work with people, I'm sure, with all the technology we have today, to still help them achieve what they need to achieve.
Absolutely. I conduct all of my sessions, even if the person lives in the same town as me, via Zoom on video conference.
Yeah,
so,
there you go.
Yeah.
What would we do without Zoom, right? I love Zoom. Look, I'm giving them pub right now, okay? So, yes, Zoom is like the thing. And of course, medicine is being done that way as well. I know that there are a lot more, what they call it, my mind just went blank. It's not teleconference, it's another name for it, where you can actually do your doctor's appointments. I mean, everything is being done that way now. So it's phenomenal that you're using the same process in order to help your clients. So talk to me, I guess, about what do you feel has been one of your greatest successes? You've done this part-time for a while, but now you're doing it full-time. What really has resonated with you since you've been doing this?
Oh my goodness, I have so many testimonials, but there are three that really just truly stand out. One, I was working with a woman, and I met her, interestingly enough, through her podcast. Already successful, had been an entrepreneur for 10 years now. And we worked together for one session, and she was making pretty good. She was making like solid four figures every single month as an entrepreneur. And after our first session, 1 week later, literally 7 days later, she called me. She said, "You're not going to believe this. I just doubled the income I made the previous month." And so she doubled into the 5 figures. And This was in the month of July, which is typically a month where most coaches would say, you know what, everyone's taking holiday, put your head down and create content. You're not going to make money this month. She doubled her income. And so then a day or two later, she called me. 1 day later, she called me again and said, I'm feeling so anxious. Can I do this again? Is this sustainable? So we had another session, and we worked on that anxiety. And the anxiousness about the success she had just achieved. And 3 days after that, so now we're at day 10, she 10x'd her income. She made over $50,000 that month.
Good grief. Wow. Look, I need to sit down and talk to you after we get off of this interview. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm missing something here. There's something I'm missing here. I definitely need to have a good connection going on. So, I mean, but that's amazing. It's amazing, whatever advice and that you're working with your clients, to be able to have that much faith and having, like I said, those pieces that we are obviously missing within our own selves, to be able to reach inside that deep and then to come back out on the other end and achieve the things and the desires that we want to achieve. I mean, it's incredible. I'm just sitting up here thinking, are you kidding me? How does that happen? How does that really work? And I know, we all go through a process in our lives that, there's always something that we we know we want to achieve and be greater at, but 90% of the time we get there to the top and then all of a sudden we're like, no, we can't do this. We don't want to, we lose that feeling that, and I think that's the part that's frustrating for most people, is that they just don't know how to come out of that circle, that, that constant grieving process and moving forward. And I guess I look at it, if I'm using it in a different way of synopsis for me or for anyone, like it being that I have been involved with the domestic abuse and being able to walk away out of that, I always tell people to stop calling me a survivor and quit calling me a victim. I said, I have not been in the survivor mode or a victim for years. I'm way past that, because I have defined within myself that is not the person that I am. Those days are over with. So I guess, if I'm looking in the same strategy, that's a strategy that you can use when you're trying to build something else in your business. I've finally confirmed to myself that this is not the life that I'm going to live. This is not the person that I am. So don't label me as that individual.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's very powerful. When people get to the top, it's almost as if their hidden agendas become exposed. Those, when I earn $50,000 a month, I will finally be what? Whatever that answer is, that's your hidden agenda. And if you could start being that thing now, you'll be closer to that $50,000. It will no longer stand in the way. And that's why so often, once we get to this pinnacle of success that we've been striving for, whatever we've put on our vision boards that we want to manifest, that's why sometimes we look around and we're like, well, that certainly didn't feel the way I thought it would be, because we've attached, all of these other conditions or hidden agendas to the goal. When we can start feeling all of those things already, like I'll finally have proven that I'm a winner. Well, wake up every day and be a winner.
Oh, I love that. I mean, it makes sense. It really does make sense. What you're saying is that we put conditions. Okay, it's like, in a year I'm going to make it here, and then maybe in 6 months I'll get to there. Oh, it's only going to take more 90 days. And you're right. We put so many conditions on ourselves, thinking that we have to wait for everything that we do. And then once we do reach that pinnacle of success, like you said, it's like, does it really hit us in a way that, do we really feel good about what we've accomplished, when reality is, if we started it the day that we thought about it, we would be probably feeling a whole lot better about who we are and where we are. And I really do think about it as being no different than when you're purchasing a home. It's amazing, because we talked about a little bit of how we both, have been in the process. You're in the process. I just finished purchasing a home, and it wasn't my first time purchasing a home, but this time it felt different.
What felt different? What felt different about it?
I think for me, what really felt different was that I decided that, I bust my butt every day to do what I'm doing. I'm going to buy the home of my dreams.
I love that. Your sanctuary.
And I just was like, this is it. It's time. I'm going to do it. And like I said, 30 to 45 days later, I sold my other place. I moved into my new one. And I'm like, this is the house that I want to live in. This is my dream home. And it was one of these feelings of, I wasn't concerned about the money. I wasn't concerned because I know that I can handle everything I'm doing. But like you said, we put so many conditions within ourselves that we think that we can't do something because we have to wait a certain time frame to get it accomplished.
Right. And congratulations, because you just served yourself a heaping scoop of, I deserve. I deserve to live my dream. And so many of us women don't get there. We don't get to the feeling that I deserve. We're constantly feeling it's everybody lives from paycheck to paycheck, so that's what I deserve. But you served yourself a big hooping scoop of I deserve.
Well, and I think a part of it too is that we all sit back and worry about, I'm a single person, I don't have anybody here that helps with my responsibilities, so I gotta do this or I gotta do that. And I'm thinking, when you sit back and think about how much you waste and what you do every day, and then if you realize you just turn these things around. It's not about what you can't do; it's about what you can do and what you're already doing. And so I'm learning. Just, I guess, like I always tell people, I'm in my 50s now, so it's kind of like I'm in the second chapter of my life, and I'm learning so much more about who I am as an individual and how I look at my life differently than what I did, 50 some years ago. I mean, obviously we're growing and still, learning and stuff, but I think the experiences that I've been through in life is what has made me think so much differently about what I really truly want and how I'm going to get it done, and stop making those excuses for it, I guess.
Absolutely. I turned 50 last November. And so, yeah, you wake up and you're like, wait a minute, what are we doing?
Yeah, well, welcome to the 50 Club.
Thank you. I'm loving it. I proclaimed wildly, it's my year of Jubilee.
That's right. Yeah, yes. I turned 52 in April, so hey, like I said, welcome to the 50 Club.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, it's bypass, but I'm still celebrating in my own way, And like I said, I think a big part of it is because I've really kind of redefined how I look at life, differently, and I don't feel as bad as I thought I was going to feel once I turned 50. So, it was like, okay, this isn't all that bad. I still look pretty good, So those are all the things you go through in your head, per se. But okay, enough about me. Let's get back to I'm like just going on and on and on, but I really want to
I love it.
Well, the thing that's beautiful about our conversation is that even though, obviously I'm doing an interview, but you've allowed me to open up about being me. And that's what you do. And
it is what I do.
It's already, we've only been talking for 25 minutes. And I'm like, blah, 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 but you've given me that feeling of comfort enough to know that this is okay to have those moments, as you said, of enjoyment. And it's okay to pat yourself on the back. And I think that's the beauty of what you have, this that feeling. You are absolutely the tapping queen. It makes sense to me now.
Thank you. It's like my superpower.
Yes, it is. I mean, it really is. And I know we're laughing about it and joking, but it really, once you start to find yourself being able to open up, you can really understand who you really are. And like you said, there's always something that's deep down that really causes people to take a step back consistently. And, being able to understand what that is makes it easier for you to move forward. So, like I said, I'm going to quit talking about me, but tell me more about what else you do in the business. Now, I know that, you do speaking engagements and you motivational speakers, so forth, and you do some other things. But what else do you do with your business? Because I know we talked a little bit about the other side of your business that you said you're kind of weaning a little bit out of and engaging in other things. So talk about that.
Oh, sure. I create tapping scripts for people once, if they have a pressing issue, we talk for about 30 minutes, and then I'll create customized tapping scripts for them and for their situation. And the thing that I absolutely love, it lights my heart up, are my one-to-one sessions with women. And I also have a passive product where I've written 365 tapping scripts to deal with everything you can even think of.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. And I send it 5 minutes tapping along with me, and it gets delivered directly to their mailbox. I've collaborated with other coaches, and I'm I work with a business strategist, and together we have a collaboration on a Facebook group where I provide all of the internal work and really work on doubling your confidence levels. Okay. And she comes in with the business strategy, and we've had wild success with that collaboration, because it's my belief that once you start working on all of the inner stuff, that's when you can start implementing all of the business strategy, and you can start tripling your investment on things you've already purchased, because all of a sudden it comes together because you're in this, wait a minute, I deserve place, or you have double the confidence, so you're showing up differently and your self-doubts have been quieted. And you're doing things differently. I'm also working with a holistic nutritionist, and we have a weight release program that I'm just in love with, because I'm going along and doing the program right along with the participants. And our group, we're just releasing weight left and right, and we're combining fitness, nutrition, and tapping to really make this lasting, sustainable change.
Wow, that's awesome. And so you have some other signature programs. Do you want to talk a little bit about any of those programs?
Okay, sure. I have Monetize Your Mind, which is my one-to-one 12-week process where I work one-to-one with women to really monetize their mind so they can go from corporate America to doing what absolutely lights them up. I also have my Visibility Vixen system, which in 4 weeks, we double your confidence so you start showing up in a much bigger way, and it's comfortable for you. Those are the 2 programs I'm doing now. I also work with a lot of network marketers. It's interesting in helping them to really be coached by an impartial party. I don't have a hidden agenda other than I want them to succeed, but I'm not, I'm not part of their upline. And the women that I've been working with have been blowing their particular network marketing out of the water just by working alongside me in monetizing their own mind. So those are the 3 programs I'm working on now.
All right. Well, you have, like I said, you have some wonderful programs, and I just love listening to you talk in your spirit. I can feel it, and because when you talk, you have a tone that's very comfortable. So it really gives me, an opportunity to just kind of sit back here and be like, okay, I don't have to feel like I have to be at the highest end of the high in order to connect with you. And I think that's important, when you're talking to people. So that's awesome. So before we close out, though, please tell me, what advice would you give any woman who is looking to go into business? What would you tell them?
What I would tell them to always keep this question in mind and answer it constantly. What would I be doing if I weren't afraid?
I like that one.
Yeah.
It makes you think.
I do it all the time. Yeah. What would I be doing if I weren't afraid?
Wow. I may have to steal that one from you, Keisha.
It's free. I give it freely.
Well, I appreciate that. No, but actually, just the thought, just when you said it, I just sit there and think, I'm like, okay, you're right. What would I be doing? And so I always tell people it's dare to be fearless, dare to get up every day and do you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I love it. Love it. So could you tell my listeners how they can get a hold of you?
Absolutely. And thank you once again for this opportunity. I am at www.keishadixonthetapingqueen.com.
Right. Well, and we can also find you on Facebook.
I'm on Facebook at The Tapping Queen. Okay. I'm on Twitter at The Tapping Queen. I'm everywhere at The Tapping Queen.
Well, it's a name that you will never forget. If you want to, you cannot forget it. So I was like, The Tapping Queen. This is going to be an interesting one tonight. And it has been very interesting. And you have been a phenomenal and lovely guest. And I do appreciate you being patient with me and allowing me to ramble for a little while.
My pleasure.
It's been a wonderful time. And I do, again, thank you for coming on this
evening
and sharing your story, because it's a great story. And I think it's a lot of how we all feel, throughout the day, but to be able to hear it again and see it and feel it and know that there's always somebody else out there who is taking those leaps of faith, but it's the way that you leap and how you land. So I think I definitely applaud you for what you're doing. And again, I said, thank you. And like I said, it's a pleasure. And for everyone else, I appreciate you all listening in tonight. And remember, we are now on Spotify, so you can hear us on iHeartRadio. You can hear us on Spotify. And of course, we're still on Spreaker. And of course, you can hear me on all the other platforms. So you can link in with us on the Facebook page through WSBI. Also, we have our own YouTube channel. So we appreciate you coming on and listening to us every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. But until then, we'll see you next week. You all have a great rest of the evening. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. We will be back next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Follow us on Spreaker, www.spreaker.com/user/WSBI. View our new WSBI website anytime at www.wsbillc.com and on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram.